Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, or good morning to those of you. I can already see the Zen Ginger, Chewy, 54 Punchy. We've got a lot of friends from the Northern Hemisphere. I'm joined today by the wonderful David from NTA, Nano Tanks Australia. And I saw David do a few ads on Facebook, and I was like, I've got to meet this guy. I've got to have a chat with him because David runs a store in Sydney, an aquarium, Nano Tanks. You can imagine the sort of stuff that he has there. And I just thought, I need to have a chat. I want to talk to him, see what it's all about, see what he's doing, and introduce him to you guys. So, David, how are you?
Good, mate. How about yourself?
Not bad at all.
Yeah?
It's very hot down here. It's like 34 degrees, and it's going to be like that for the next few days.
Yeah.
It's hot up there.
Yeah, I think so. It's quite warm as well in Sydney, but it's good to have aircon and sitting in the Nano Tanks Australia office right now, chatting with all of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first things first, I suppose I just wanted to mute that. Now, forgive me, I always like to shout out and say hey to everyone in the chat, like Rob Bull, Aqua Life Aquariums, Melbourne, QSA. And something that's really important to me with our streams is that we try and include everybody in the chat. Dr. Black 66. You'll see there's a fair few Aussies that'll pop in and say hello, and then most of them are up your way, I think. There's a few that are down my way. Perth Cichlids, other side of the country. But I want to start from the start. So tell me, let's not start from the start. Tell me about the store. Tell me about Nano Tanks Australia. How long has it been going, and what is the goal with the store, and what do you guys specialize in?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. So we are not like any of the other aquarium shops around. We are very, very niche, a very niche type of store. We only do a few things very, very well, which is first and foremost is discus. So the business is split between me and business partner, and my business partner's totally dedicated to discus. So he's very specializes in discus. There's more than 100 tanks going at any one time, just dedicated for discus. For myself, I am very specialized in terms of the nano fish. So my first passion was with fighting fish or bettas. So at any one time, our shop will have about 100 bettas, from half moons to deltas to packets and to even wild bettas and so forth. We specialize also in shrimps, so the red cherry shrimps, blue cherry shrimps, yellow cherry shrimps, chocolates, right through to the blue balls, to the red pintos, and everything like that as well. I've also got a great interest in aquascaping, and so we do a lot of things for plants and getting rare plants in use and all that as well. And lastly, we also specialize in killies and cories. So in terms of that, from the clown killies to the fungal pancakes groups to the Nodobrancus groups and so forth, anything that we can get in Australia, I would be one of the very, very first people who would ever have it in the shop.
So in saying that, do you try and get in some of the Australian native specials as well, or?
Yep.
Or
so in terms of Australian natives, we get a lot of the pseudomogals, so the blue eyes. So in our shop at the moment,
that's them, the Pacific blue eyes.
Yep. So we got Signifer, we've got Mellors, we've got Gertrude, we've got Erythera threadfins. We have even right up to the Luminiatas and the Furcatas as well. So, and we got Mellors, which is the honey blue eyes, which is endangered up north in Queensland.
You've got honey blue eyes, do you?
Yeah, we got honey blue eyes as well.
I'm not rubbing it in, Pam, but 54 Punchy is in America, and they are one of our favourite fish. But I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but they're illegal everywhere else other than Australia because they're endangered. So we're always trying to think of a way to send a spawn mop over to her.
They're actually quite large now, and we normally breed them quite often.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're.
Do you export to America?
I wouldn't do it because we are online. But yeah.
Well, that sounds like a chance. No, that's fantastic. I recently, it was Pam that sort of introduced me to pseudomurgles that I was like, didn't realize that we had such an abundance of amazing native fish down here in Australia. I just sort of thought of your larger freshwater fish. Being from Melbourne, everything's got to be cold water. You can't have tropical fish unless you have a heater in a tank. So get to learn about them. And then also, like, even recently to find out the Pacific blue eyes are quite happy in cold water.
Yep.
I mean, now I've got 2 tanks running with them. So yeah, it's a very cool thing. So a lot of the fish that you mentioned are like, that's what I'm a really big fan of discus. I've had very limited luck with them. Kept them for a number of years, but they've never thrived with me. And trying to figure out why I've got to the point where they're laying eggs and pairing off, but no breeding. And I'm giving it a rest for the moment because I found it was a bit of an emotional journey.
I think at the end of the day with discus, it's all about education. That's all it is.
Well, it's probably it. It's probably time for me to look back and read a bit more. And I think a few things will click that I'll be saying, I didn't try that or I didn't do that. And I would like to just dedicate a tank to them. There's no tank mates, not worry about plants, just getting them right first. As far as the nano side of things, yeah, like I have a number of cherry shrimp and endlers. I've just tried my first aquascape as well. That I did actually buy keep getting the name wrong. The red crystal shrimp.
Yep.
I've just tried to put one in there just to see if he'll go all right in the tank. But it sounds like when I'm going shopping at local stores, that some of the things that you're doing, that's what we're looking for.
Yep.
Now, Big Easy, hello. I think I said hey to the Zen Ginger before. There's a few people watching. 18. Remember to hit the like button while you're here. Surf on a lot. There's another Aussie who's into his shrimp and nano fish as well. Now, where did it all start for you? So you said that your partner was right into discus and you were more into the nano side of things. So what was your first fish tank and what fish did you keep?
Yeah, so for me, I'm from Indonesia. So my very first time that I had a fish was when I was 2 years old. So the story is that I was in Indonesia. You've got a lot of fish markets and a lot of aquariums and all that. And basically, what had happened, I was with my grandma. She was carrying me and I said, "Oh, I want a fish." So she gave me a goldfish. And basically, on the way home, I had this goldfish on my hot little hands. She was carrying me over the shoulder, and I accidentally let go of the bag. Mind you, I was 2. And Indonesia is one of those countries which has, sewer lines going everywhere. And basically, what has happened is that the bag's dropped. And it went boing, 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 splat. And then the goldfish went, I'm free. And so he jumped, and we went to one of the sewers and then ran off and then swam off.
Sounds like a Finding Nemo story there, except
yeah. That's right. That's exactly
how we're introduced to Indonesia.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the very first time I fell in love with fish. And I'm going to push the computer here. I don't know if you guys see this, but over here, my entire library books is over here. So that's more than about 3,000 books now that
Wow.
And magazines and everything like that. So we're very, very excited, to be able to provide a whole wealth of knowledge, and we are not only Google warriors.
So you're using, sorry, so that's a library that that's your library?
That's my library.
Wow, that's incredible. Max S, hello. And Courtney Brown, good evening. How are you? Kiwi Mamo. Max S introduced me to auctions the other day. And before we go into that, Aqua Life Aquariums wants to know, is anyone in Sydney keeping guppies outside now?
Yes, you can.
Yep.
Yep, the weather is warm enough.
Yep.
And when the weather warms enough now, you will actually get a lot better yield with the guppy fry and everything like that.
Yep. Now, well, Dr. Black's saying that he's got his out now, but he's a bit further north than Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I was going to say is, do you have many auctions up there in Sydney? Do you go to auctions regularly, or?
So in Sydney, the biggest auction, or the biggest two auctions that's around at the moment, is the New South Wales Sickle Society, which has the auction every twice a year. The other big
African or American? I'm just curious.
African Americans.
Both. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. The other one that has auctions is ANGFA, so the Australian and New Guinea Fish Association. They have an auction, I think, once or twice a year. And so that's the biggest auctions that there is in Sydney or in New South Wales. We are looking to do an auction back in 2020 that has yet to materialize, because we know that the logistics of that is quite large.
Yeah.
So we are looking into getting something like that. So if anyone wants to come and join us and give us a hand on that, please let me know, because we are very, very interested in something like that.
Okay, Dr. Black saying they do all sorts of fish, the New South Wales Cichlid Association as well. Just a quick hands up. Anyone in the chat that are from Sydney, just put your hand up at the moment, because Sir Prawnalot, this is probably a good segue into what you sent me just before the stream. Sir Prawnalot was saying he was actually just looking at your website, the Nano Tanks Australia website, recently, and heaps of awesome stuff on there. So there's a few Aussies in the room at the moment. So Dave, if you would like to do the honours.
Mm-hmm. So Sydney here, they do all sorts of fish too. The New South Wales, okay, yep.
And do you ship all over Australia?
Pardon?
Do you ship all over Australia or Eastern States? You do Perth as well?
Wherever. As long as we have licenses to go to WA even. We have licenses to go to NT as well. If you do have a tropical fish license, even for Tasmania, we're able to ship to you, and that's not a problem as well.
That's cool. So if people go onto your website, what can they do?
They can buy anything that's on the website. If we don't have the goods, or you're interested in something, just send me a text in Facebook, or get this guy to send you a link to my website or my page, and I'll respond to your Facebook request or whatever.
Dr. Black, if you're available right now, are you able to help out with that? Otherwise, I will find something. Have you got any deals going on?
Yeah, we do, but I think we'll reserve that right up to the very last bit, huh? Yeah.
All right. Well, that means you Aussies have to stick around. The Fish Room. Hello, Cam. Cam's from New Zealand. We've done a bit of work together on YouTube as well. Now, what was I going to ask you? Had a question. Had it gone blank. Sorry. You keep all sorts of shrimp?
Yep. So
what are your favourite shrimp, and what advice do you give to shrimp keepers? And just so everyone can see, Dr. Black has put the Nano Tanks Australia website link below, so click on it, check it out, post it, favorite it, and we'll go back to it after the stream.
So in terms of shrimps, we actually did a shrimp. I did actually a shrimp workshop last Friday. There's three shrimps are based in three categories. So the first category that we look at is the neocaridinus. So that's the red cherry shrimps, the blue cherry shrimps, yellows, and all these other things. Then we go for the caridinus, which are the crystal reds, the crystal blacks, the tiger shrimps and OEBTs, blue, the blue pintos and the blue balls and all that. And then we split it also to the native shrimps as well. So the native shrimps comprises of the Darwin algae shrimps, the rifle shrimps, the all these different things as well. And this is what I say to people is that shrimps are one of the most easiest to take care of. The only thing that you really, really need to really do well with shrimps is just a TDS pen, okay? And in all honesty, if you want to, a lot of people, what they do is they get too emotionally attached to shrimps and all that. And the best advice I can give you is don't do a lot of water changes, and make sure that their aquarium is very, very stable. Okay, and when they're stable, then they'll just breed and breed and breed.
That's what I find with my red cherry shrimp. That tank, I don't do water changes. They're in there with endless, and it just everything in there breeds. Everything in there just sort of works together. I kind of think that shrimp, they work filtration-wise, obviously very good with sponge filters and under gravel filters. Leaves a bit behind for them to feast on, and very safe, obviously, for the babies as well. Cooker111, hello, that's my old man. There was a couple questions that came in here. Sir Prawnalot said, David is speaking my kind of language. GRB Aquatics. Aquamate, does David have restrictions sending to WA, shrimp, etc.?
Yeah, in terms of WA is actually quite restrictive when it comes to inverts, and especially when it comes to shrimps and snails, they really do not appreciate. Well, WA in quarantine do not wish to have all these exotic snails from the eastern states going to you guys. So when we don't do any shrimps or any snails to WA, so please don't ask, because we don't want to get in trouble and we want to stay in the right side of the law. And the biggest mechanical reason why that's the case is because a lot of our food security in Australia is based in WA, and because of that, that's why they want to restrict that flow. Yeah. So there's a real reason why that's the case. But fish, no problem with fish. You just let us know what you want. We get a form signed up for you for WA quarantine, and you go to quarantine, and you can get as much fish as you want.
Yep. There it is. So 1 sec. Someone's asking, do you have any plans to do a YouTube channel?
Yep. Yes.
It's already there.
This is a launch of it. This is in a launch of it in a way. I do have a YouTube channel. It's got, I think, about 54. It's Nano Tanks Australia, I believe, as the Facebook. The YouTube name. And yeah, if you want, just start subscribing to it, and we'll go from there.
I've just put up a link to your channel, so everyone jump over, take a second, hit the subscribe button. It's a good way to stay in touch with David, and for him to find your channels as well. And there's some pretty cool. There's a lot of Bettas on your channel that are pretty amazing. And
very small selection. It was an experiment at very early on that I've been doing, but unfortunately for me, there was too much of a curve uploading them and all that. So we've decided. I actually do a lot of things in Instagram, in Facebook, but in YouTube, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a lot of educational stuff as well. So just let me know what you want to learn, and I'll try putting it up.
That's fantastic. You've got a whole bunch of new subscriptions there. There's about 5 or 6 people already, so they just jumped on you. So just a little bit about the people that are here. We call them the Fish Fam. So there's Rob Bull was doing a live stream earlier today, which, sorry I wasn't there, Rob, I was working. And Blackie usually does a live stream once a week. And all these same people will just jump along, join in conversations, support one another, and created a really cool sort of family. That's why we call it the Fish Fam. But it's worldwide. So, like, we have people from Canada and America and stuff here. Sharpies Models, hello, how are you? And the Aussie side it's growing. Like, every week or two, like, I'm finding out channels that are new channels or that I didn't realize were Australian. So it's a really cool thing to pay attention to, and these guys will support you on your journey as well, and they'll give you comments, they'll let you know how you're going, and especially which fish you're putting up, because I mean some of those are amazing. What sort of price variances do you have on Bettas? Because I've always wondered about that. You can go and get a $9 Betta, or you can get a $100 Betta. What am I missing out on? I'm not a big expert in Bettas.
Not a problem at all. So let me explain to you guys the pricing strategy that we have for Bettas. Firstly, we don't do any veil tails at all in our shop, because veil tails are not one of the most popular fish for us, and every single pet shop out there sells it. But veil tails usually sell for $5 to $10, and there's not much on that. We don't really sell a lot of veil tails as crown tails as well, because crown tails are the more yesteryear or the past, and so a lot of our customers don't even touch those as well, because they are also everywhere else. We do.
I think that's what I heard.
Yep. We do a lot of things on the half moons. So the half moons are the one with the 90-degree tail or more, or the over half moons. Our price on those are standardized to about $30. $30 a fish. If you're getting more, then if you're paying more than 30, I said to you guys are paying too much, because that's our standard rate. If you're looking for double tail half moons, which has basically 2 tails in the one fish, those ones are about $40. And those ones are quite nice as well, and they have a lot of really nice finish.
So that's what's probably really interesting from like a novice to Bettas, is that you walk in and you go, why is that fish, which looks stunning, $20, and then that one over there that looks, so-so is like $50. But so the way you're explaining it is it's because it's the type of...
That's right. It's the type, but it's also the perception of how the shop tries to show you guys as well what is worth it and what it's not. But for us, a half moon is mostly going to be $30, and $35 is the max. There are exceptions to the rule, of course, but this is Australia. It's not Thailand or Indonesia or Malaysia where you're breeding this fish in great numbers. Then we go for the plackets or the short fin varieties. We sell those ones at $30 as well. And so if you're getting more for it, you're being ripped off. Then you've got things like the the one with the more flowing tails, so the Dumbos or the elephant ears. We standardize those prices to about $30 to $40 as well. So you won't see anything above way above unless they're fully exceptional fish. You do have exceptions to the rules as well. So, for example, for those people who don't know, Bettas comes in giants as well. So giants are anything between 7 to 10 cm, so they're quite big. And we charge about $50 to $100 for those.
Yeah.
You get things, and now that's in a sense the whole domesticated Bettas. But you also get a lot of things like the wild Bettas as well. So the wild Bettas is one of the most very interesting groups because you've got bubble nesters and you've got mouth brooders as well. And and that range from a simple $20, $30 a fish, right up to $500 a pair. So that's the macro
I didn't realise that there were mouth brooding Bettas.
Yeah.
That's why we have these chats. We learn things. Just quickly want to say hey to Shelby, Ray, Lane, and Chris. Where are you? Chris Sherlock. Got the tail end of this. So just for those joining us, this is David on this side from NTA Nano Tanks Australia, and he's running an aquarium in Sydney, down under. And he caught my attention by the way that he was marketing on Facebook. And I thought, this guy's just like us. We need to have a chat. There was a good question just here. Aqua Life Aquariums with all the good questions. Why is the hobby in the US so much ahead than Australia? In your opinion, do you think that's correct? And why do you think that would be?
At the end of the day, it's all about population. In Australia, our population is actually quite small. And so, you don't really get a lot of things in terms of volume and all that. And we see it from a point of view, not only as a retailer, but from a wholesaler's perspective, right through to the distributor or the manufacturer perspective. Australia has, it's infinitesimally small in terms of population. And of the, whatever 5 million or 6 million people, how many of those people are actually in the hobby itself? Well, in the US, it's quite a huge population. And in that huge population, there's actually a lot of people that loves, fish as well. So, and, what is ahead in the US is fine. And, I get it's, like Corey and a lot of the other big guys are really ahead and really up there and all that. And that's what we want to do here in Australia is we want to get that cooperation going. And it's great to have Josh come on board and share his vision with me because I actually have the same vision because it's all about sharing the hobby and growing the hobby together. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Dr. Black made a really good point at the same time, being closer to South America, so having different breeds and being more readily available, and maybe that captures people's imaginations. And I've been keeping fish for 25 years, and to learn about some of the fish that Pam from America's taught me, they're like, yeah, these are Australian natives. Didn't you know about them? And Max S, who's just a young dude, who his fish knowledge just outweighs. If there were a book, mine would be like a children's book, and his would be an encyclopedia. The knowledge he has on fish already, and it's funny, like connecting like this, it puts a whole other layer to the hobby, and it's really great to have cichlids right next to me, goldfish behind me, and really enjoy the tank. But to learn more and more about them and find out why is your fish doing this and someone else is experiencing that and there's this platform to share it on is fantastic, which kind of brings me to my next point that I don't know, you said the other day, but you've heard about the exhibition coming up in February called Splash. That's another exciting thing, that's another platform that a lot of these people, I mean, half the people in this stream have already said, we're going, and they're from all over Australia. So I don't know about you, but have you heard about it? And are you interested in going? And what are your thoughts on exhibitions in Australia?
Yeah, look, we tried to do an exhibition in Sydney a couple of years ago, actually, and we had a good turnout. We had a few people that come aboard, but I think at that time it was quite premature. Um, I think an exhibition of this nature is actually quite good, and it's great that Sam is actually doing it for the marine section because the marine side of the hobby is quite huge. Unfortunately, being a freshwater person only, I don't have a lot of interest in marines. I've never had an interest, and I'm so sorry if that alienates some people, but it's my personal preference.
Yep.
Uh, if I did ask Sam if there's going to be a freshwater side of it, and he says no, there isn't. So unfortunately, I won't personally be there, but I'll be there in spirit because a lot of the wholesalers and a lot of the retailers that focuses on marines will be there. And you know, I think this is a great opportunity for you guys to interact and all that. And you know, I think there'll be opportunities in the future to even create an aqua shallow or even one of those really big ones that you see in America, in Australia as well. So, and you know, I, I believe after a few years that will come as well.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. So 2 weeks ago we had Sam on this series, and yeah, we spoke about pretty much what you were saying at the start there about how there's all these things going on for marine, and that's fantastic. I haven't got a marine tank. I would love to set one up one day. I definitely want to enter the world, but there's nothing for freshwater, and he said to us how he wants to grow it and he wants to have some freshwater representation, and all hands in the room went up and said, we're in. What do you want us to do? So hopefully, I mean, there will be some fresh water at Splash, and hopefully some of the people here will be involved and will be supporting the, I don't have a store, I don't have access to, suppliers and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm happy to just jump in and just, help people just set up or whatever they can do, or help stand at a booth and talk to people and try and educate people and inspire people to get excited about the hobby. But I think that if we do team up, then we will end up with something really good and something close to like Aqua Shallow, like you were saying, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this sort of series as well, is to find people like yourself, people like Sam. The Fish Fam's great, and we all stick together and we all entertain each other. But it's really cool to now introduce other people to the Fish Fam and the Fish Fam to other people and grow that way as well.
Yep. I think what I'll do after this, I'll actually approach Sam directly, just to ask him what are the next steps in regards to this. So, sorry to hijack, but for those people who don't know, the retailers do get together and do talk about the future of the hobby. And we believe that Splash is actually one of those events that's been bubbling up for many, many years. And it's starting to splash out of the hobby as well. And basically, what we want to do, what my vision is, I really want us to, start thinking of how we can contribute, not only as the retailers, but also as the backyarders and right up to the hobbyists as well. Because at the end of the day, there is room for everyone, and everyone needs, and you guys are invited in a way. So I'll make that known to the committee, and I'll let you guys know on how it goes.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we're all here. We're all willing to help. If even if it's you getting down from Sydney and just need help setting up, like, there's myself, Courtney Brown. Forgive me, I'm not sure what country or what state you're from. I'm assuming Australian. So there's myself, Rob Ball, GRB, Max. A couple others are all already in Victoria. So I'm pretty sure we'll all be there. And then there's a few from Sydney and stuff that want to come down. So to answer your question, Courtney, it is on Feb 30th. I keep saying Feb 30th for some reason. February 29 and March 1st next year. So it's a Saturday and a Sunday. It's pretty expensive though. It's $5 to get in. So it's no excuse not to go. 4 hours away. Road trip. Where are you, Courtney? It must be country Victoria. See you, Chris. Thank you very much for joining us. Pretty much couldn't be further away. So I've missed a whole bunch of questions. The Life Aquarium. Rob Bull says he can bring 150 cribs to Splash. I can bring probably the same amount. I'll see you and raise you 30. Now, when you talk about your nano tanks and your store, so you specialize in a lot of these fish. Do you have cichlids? Do you have dwarf cichlids? Do you have no?
Look, because our shop is nano, we don't do any Africans. We don't do any Americans. We do have a tank where we just dump, people that don't want this fish into a tank as a tip, urid, and here's the fish, and that's it. So we do have like 4 or 5 mounts and a few bits and bobs and like that. But we do have quite a good array of dwarf cichlids. So especially the epistos. So those are the only dwarf cichlids that we really put in. And we do have a good array of dwarfs. Like so we've got, top of my head, Cacatoides lemons. We've got Pangiros. We've got Cacatoides. We've got a pair of Rio Memore and a few other bits and pieces. So that's all in terms of the cichlid sites that we
Cribenzas?
Huh?
How can you be leaving out the Cribenzas?
We only have one female left.
I've got 30 down here, and they're very good looking. I'll show you them later. Dr. Black has just put up a link for the Splash Expo Australia Facebook page. Jump on if you haven't already and just follow it. Show Sam some support. The bigger that gets, the more attention that gets, the more people will focus on it, and we'll get more suppliers, more people attending, and it just end up being a bigger and better expo for everybody. And if we all just play our part, I think it's something that we've been screaming out for. I'll tell you a little story about 6 or 7 months ago when they had Aqua in Texas. Was it Texas? Dallas? I sent an email over to George Coral 12G and said, love what you're doing over there. How do we do something like that in Australia? Send me an email. I didn't get anything back, but then to learn what Sam was sort of trying to do, and he said he unashamedly is trying to create an aqua by doing Splash, and I think it's fantastic, and the more people we can get involved. I don't know how many people in the industry do you associate with all the time, or is it other store, other vendors, or do you just talk to the suppliers? Or
no, we know everyone. We know everyone. So I think the old adage is, a lot of people think, especially customers, they think, we're all in competition and we don't talk to each other. But unfortunately, that's not the case. The retailers do talk to each other, and the wholesalers do talk to each other, and we always everything. So I think I hope that says a lot, that there's more cooperation now than there competition.
I think that's fantastic, because that's one thing that I've noticed with the stores near me. I'm like an hour and 10 minutes away from Melbourne, and I travel into Melbourne all the time. So I see 4 or 5 different aquariums, and I frequent all of them. And one big on cichlids, one's similar to your store by the sound of things, more nano and a bit harder to get fish. Another one has some monster fish and a sort of a bit of everything. And they also have reptiles. And I just kind of think you'd lose a sale because you don't have shrimp and you don't do reptiles and they do. So like to build that sort of that camaraderie where you go, yeah, if you go down the road, this guy over here, he specializes in shrimp. We will look after you for plants. That's like we've got the plants and we've got this, to find the differences between the stores and to work together to find the right answer for the customer. I mean, if your stores are so different, then you shouldn't be, scared of sending someone to another store and saying, hey, if you want cichlids, that's the place to go. But if you want nano fish and discus, then yeah, talk to me.
Yep,
and just
exactly.
The Zen Ginger wants to ask you a question. Can you read the questions on the screen?
Yep. So Zen Ginger says, I'm still trying to get my apistogramma super rare pair to breed. They're in with neon tetras. Is this a problem? Lots of plants and caves suggestions. One of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest things I say with people with apistos is that they breed at their own time. So, look, we had Bolivian rams in our shop, and we got into the shop one day and we saw all the gravel was shifted around and these molds happened. That afternoon, all 3 pairs bred. And in the next few days, there was babies everywhere. So what I can say to you is just do what you do. They don't care about, other fish or other things in their tank. And when they're ready, they're ready. And when they're not, they're not. If you want to try simulating those kind of things, though, what I can say is live food. So live worms, live black worms, or nutritious food. And water change, because water change signifies rains and it takes nitrates out. And when that happens, it entices them to breed. That's all it is.
No, that's very interesting because like I have the crebensis and you add water and you have babies basically.
Yep.
I don't want to forget this over here, but just quickly on the apistos, does the male beat the female up and then they start mating, or does the female beat the male up and then they start breeding? Because that's what I've noticed with the cribs. Rob Bull's got a female beating up the male, and I've got a female beating up the male in our pairs, but they're both breeding pretty well.
It won't be that bad as when it comes to those fighting and all that.
Remind me about the Bettas. I watched something yesterday I found really interesting. Hashtag notice me, Josh. I have a 50 centimeter by 25 centimeter by 34 centimeter, 36 litre. You could have just said 36 litre. Lucky. Tank that I set up with dwarf hairgrass carpet and some Anubias on rocks. What would you put in the tank? I just can't make up my mind. Shrimp straight away, I think.
Yep, shrimp straight away. But what I recommend to you, and I want everyone to Google this, and we're going to overload Google servers. Try to Google Normanni lampice.
What was that?
So I will put it up here on my one as Normanni lampice. Okay, Google that and let me know what you think of it. So,
and where have we got? I'm waiting for it to pop up. There we go. Normanni lampies. Okay, interesting. See, Max has some of these.
Yeah. So if you're looking for something really cool, really interesting, consider getting Normanni lampies to your tank. When the light hits their eyes, they glow. The light, their eyes just glow like lamps. So
you're thinking that tomorrow then, when the moon hits your eyes, like
yeah, something simple for you guys to consider doing.
No, that's a really cool idea. Sir Prawn, what happened to honey blue eyes? That would be. Oh, yeah, I think you're talking about I was thinking about putting them in a small tank. What do you know about the honey blue eyes? Because everybody's knowledge is very limited on them.
Yep.
What are your recommendations with them, and what tank sizes do you think they can be in? They're a lot smaller than I've seen in person, the ones that I own, and I bought 4, and I hate to say it, and Max, I've lost one. I keep watching, everything seems to be fine, and then I'm like, hang on, one of them's missing. So I've only got 3 left.
Yep. So firstly, with honey blue eyes, that I noticed is that honey blue eyes live in a very, very small area in Queensland or near Brisbane. Okay, so that signifies a lot in terms of their temperature. So you need to make sure that their temperature is in the tropical area first. The other things that I noticed with honey blue eyes is that they're quite small, as you say, Josh, and a lot of people have found out that they are very, very small. And because they're very small, don't put them in large tanks. Okay, they like smaller tanks, and when you get a large tank, they get spooked very easily, and it stresses them out. But if you put them in a small tank, 30 liters, 20 liters or so, 36 liters, you'll find them shallow out a bit more and get more venturing out, and you'll see them, swim. You'll see them breed. You'll see them do that as well. Vegetation, not a lot. Okay, just sparsely filled around. So like spawning moths and all that, because they need that kind of structure. And yeah, if you can provide that, then the world is your oyster. You can breed them. You can do whatever you like with them.
Because I've got a mate down here that has had, he's had success breeding them, but he summer tubs them. So they're inside all year, and then he puts them in a tub in summer, and then he gets babies. And he just feels like that's the best way to do it. So, but I've got them in a 4-foot tank with a school of like 20 rummy nose, 26 degrees, probably slightly too warm. But one of them thought they were a rummy nose straight away and just joined the rummy nose, which I found really fascinating. But yeah, I've got a couple smaller tanks, and I wanted to put them in there, but I thought the large 4-foot tank, I'm trying to give them as much room as possible. But yeah, very interesting to hear what you're saying about, try and keep them in something small. So anything that's like 20 to 40 liters.
Yep.
20 liters maybe have 5, 40 liters 12 or so, something like that.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And then send them to Pam. Punchy. There's now.
One thing, Pam. Just to say, you've got fish that I want. So you've got a lot of the really interesting things from NANFA. So the North American Native Fish Association, and you do have a lot of the datas. You've got a lot of the killies. You've got access to a lot more things. The rivulets as well, things that we can't get in Australia. And in a way, I envy you on what you have in your backyard. So don't be too wishy-washy. Like, don't be too worried about it, because you do have a lot of good stuff where you are at as well.
Pam's got some amazing fish. She has, forgive me, Pam, how many tanks do you have? Thirsty Rabbit's another big YouTuber, just a couple hours north of you, and he has 1 tank with shrimp, and everything else would not be Nano. He has a lot of big fish, which great channel to watch. So check out Thirsty Rabbit. And for Thirsty and anyone else that's just joined the chat, whoop, I don't want to put it there. I want to put it there. That is Dave's channel. Jump on, subscribe, stay in touch. Thirsty, it's all good. We've been going for 50 minutes. We've been waiting the whole time for you. 25 people watching, only 11 likes, so make sure you hit the like button. Jay's Betta Room, hello, welcome. That was what I was going to ask you about the store. How many fish tanks do you have in the store?
In our shop,
Yeah.
so we have about 104 plus medical tanks for discus alone. We have about 40, no, about 30 tanks just for tropicals. So we specialize in those tropical tanks. We specialize in cories especially, and a lot of bread and butters. We have about 10 to 15 dedicated tanks for different strains of guppies and endlers. So dedicated tanks, not mixed tanks.
Yep.
We have about 18 tanks dedicated for shrimps.
That's crazy. So down here, the most I've ever seen is maybe 6 tanks dedicated to shrimp.
Yep.
So that's really
and at any one time, we have more than 100 betters. So half million and above.
That's insane. One thing I was going to say to anyone, any of the Aussies, that if you are interested in getting a Betta, I think some of the deals you were talking about, not necessarily deals, they're everyday prices, aren't they, for you? But to have 100 Bettas and a lot of options around the $30 mark for some quality fish, you're tempting me, but if you could have more than one male Betta in a tank, I'm sure I would have heaps, but I've only got one. Cheap guy. One of the first videos I ever made, I had him in with the shrimp. Actually, before I tell this, I'll tell the story to see what you think. I ended up making a video because I was always like, how's he going to go with the shrimp? He'll be all right. And then he never seemed to get anywhere near them. And then one day he's just laying on the bottom of the tank and he had half a shrimp hanging out of his mouth. And I was like, he's dead. But he was slowly moving a bit. And I went, hang on. So I got him out of the tank, pulled the shrimp, physically pulled it out of the mouth. And then bang, he popped back up. And then I went, all right, I'm going to put him over to another tank on his own. But would you keep Bettas with shrimp? There you go. So we're on the same page there. I think that if you've got lots of hiding places, they can sort of coexist, but they're always going to be them. Yeah.
Yep. So with Bettas, it's all about focus. Don't put, just a Betta and a shrimp in one tank because one of them will be food and one of them will be full. If you put a lot of shrimps in the tank and a lot of hiding places and everything like that, you're going to be fine. But just remember that if they can launch to a shrimp and eat a shrimp, then it's more or less dead.
Then they're going to do it. Yeah. That was what I was thinking about before. Was last night, the night before, I was sitting down to watching Our Planet on Netflix, which is a David Attenborough series. Focuses a lot on. Hey Sandra, welcome. How are you? Sandra's another regular. And yeah, focused a lot on what we can do for the environment and global warming and all that sort of stuff. And I was almost falling asleep, and then the next episode popped up and it was fresh water, and I went, hang on, I've got to watch this. So it explained like how fresh water is, important to so many different species, but then it went to Lake Tanganyika and showed all the cichlids. And one amazing thing about the cichlids was you get a 6-foot tank and put some cichlids in there. You've got a tank boss, and he's going to be dominant, and he's going to dictate the way the other ones act. You put them in their natural environment, and you've got 100 fish just swimming right next to each other, schooling beautifully, which I found really incredible. And the shell dwellers really inspired me to try shell dwellers, sort of a nano cichlid again, in a way. But then the next bit was about the Bettas, and when the rains came down and flooded everywhere, that was it. The Bettas would come out, and then it would attract a mate by building their bubble nests and mate, and then drop the eggs, and then pick the eggs back up, and then put them back in the into the bubble nest. That was incredible. And I mean, it's really cool to see these things on YouTube and learn about them, but to see David Attenborough talking about some of the fish that we keep, it was kind of like, it was a little bit surreal. I really enjoyed it. So if you haven't seen it and you've got Netflix, check it out. All right, so you're getting a few questions on the chat. That's good. Max S said he saw it. It did. It caught me off guard too. I was like, hang on, I know these fish. See, this is the beauty of the fish fab. You can see there's a bit of a chat going on in there, asking you questions in amongst themselves. It's good. It's good to have everyone to get together. Jay's Betta Room. I'm not sure if I said hey before. And Red, I saw you before. How are you? So, that's Dr. Thirsty, mate. Thirsty Rabbit is saying his wife is related to David Attenborough. Does she talk like David Attenborough? That would be hilarious. Does Dave have any tanks at home? Great question, Chris.
Already answered it.
Just one Betta at home.
It's actually one of the most beautiful Bettas around. Google it if you don't. If you have.
You're on your computer right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
I'd love to see it.
I'm actually not at home. I'm actually in the shop at the moment.
That's all right. Are there any photos of them on your Instagram?
Instagram there is, but if you just Google it, it will come up straight away.
Betta Rubra. You're making me work here. Hang on.
Yeah, definitely.
Images. Wow, I'll share my screen so that you can see what's going on. Sure. So that's it there.
I think my photo is there as well. If you actually look, I think
your photo's in there.
I don't know.
They look like paradise fish.
Yeah, they do, but it's quite jet rate on those. So yeah.
So would that be is that a wild Betta?
Yep, they're wild Bettas. That's right.
Wow, that's crazy. That's cool. Will you ever try and breed him, or?
They've already been breeding. They're mouth breeders. So these guys are mouth breeders. So the males will carry the eggs. So that's a Pinterest photo there. Yep, that's a Pinterest photo, and that's one of them that's breeding.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like he's got a mouthful there.
That's right.
Wow, that's incredible. All right, we're drawing close to the end of our hour. Was there anything that you wanted to share with everybody?
Yeah, if you guys want to chat also, you're more than happy to. I'm more than happy to chat to anyone. Just go to my Facebook group or Facebook page. Send me a message, and yeah, I'm more or less happy to respond. The only times I don't respond is when I'm in a meeting or with customers or when I'm asleep, and that's it.
When you're asleep, so you don't wake up when people call you and stuff?
No.
I'm kidding. I'll pop the link to the Facebook page into the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone got any questions for Dave before we leave? Oh, hang on, here we go. Max just said he just picked up a pair of Betta Picta. Any tips to breed them?
Yep. Betta Picta is actually one of my favorite fish or favorite Bettas. it took a lot of years to get that into Australia. And the only thing I can recommend for you to breed them is ignore them. Give them the very, very good home, feed them lots of food, keep up to your water changes, and sooner or later you'll get a mouthful of eggs. They're one of the most easiest fish to breed.
Okay, so plenty of food, and make them comfy.
Yeah.
All right, so if anybody wants to head on to the Nano Tanks website, I need to bring that up too, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Nano Tanks Australia. .com.au, and they want to buy any. So you sell plants and fish and shrimp and food and everything you need to keep nano fish and discounts.
And if we don't have it, just message me because our website doesn't have the full complement of products that we actually have in store. So if you want anything, just let us know. How much you sell refill shrimp for, Dave? We sell for $15.
I don't know which ones. Are they larger ones?
They're quite big. They are about 4 to 6 cm. They're filter feeders.
Is that what you have, Dr. Black? Is that your other one? Dr. Black's got a lot of cherry shrimp that breed like crazy, but he also has a few other larger ones.
Mm-hmm.
So if people go onto your website and they want to buy anything, have we got a deal for them?
Yes, we do. You want to send them through the deal? The code?
I closed your thing over here. Where are we?
Okay. No worries then. So I'll put it up here for you guys to have a look at. Go to Josh. Blah, 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 blah.
My long arm prawns. It was a long arm prawn that he had. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So long arm prawns are Macrobrachium Robin birdseye, usually. Just don't get them near little fish because they'll pick them out of the water.
Yeah. Dr. Black just said, is it $15 or $50?
$15.
$15.
Mm-hmm.
$1.50. There you go. $15. That sounds great.
Yep.
I can chuck. Can I chuck up what you sent me just in the chat? Can I write that?
Yep.
Yeah. So, special for the viewers, use the Aqua 20 special, and it just disappeared. 1 second. It gives you 20% off all items from the Nano Tanks Australia website. So, if you do need any food at the moment, you need any plants, or you really want to check out 18 different types of shrimp, because I do, or even those $30 Bettas, then what's that make them? $24 plus shipping. But yeah, Definitely, Dave's a great guy. We all got to have a chat with him. To support local business is a fantastic thing. And also to support someone else that you can see supporting the hobby. And hey, there's a chance he's going to have a chat with Sam in the coming days. So we may even be running into Dave down at Splash. Otherwise, if we can show him our support. And Dave, there's plenty of cool channels on here. Definitely check them out. You'll learn a few things from a few of the guys there too. They're very knowledgeable people. And they're also, some of them really inspired to try different things like a Vegemite aquascape. Surf one a lot. We have a lot of fun together as well. So yeah, really glad for you to join us tonight, and I really appreciate it. And want to say thank you to everyone that's come along, and we'll catch you in the next week or two when we meet another guest.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, guys. I hope you all have a great night.
See ya.